enough kada madam?
Okay ma'am.
Good morning everyone and a warm welcome to all students for the chemistry webinar. It's the time for lesson 3 in periodic classification of elements. Dear children, in our previous sessions which were taught by Dr. B. Sampath Kumar Garu, PGT Chemistry from TSMS Shankarpatnam Karimnagar district, Sir has explained you regarding the two sessions. So the first session is regarding the salient features of long form of periodic table, and the second session is regarding the classification of elements into S, P, D and F blocks, and also based on the chemical properties, the elements were divided into 4 types. So what are they? Inert gases, then representative elements, transition elements and inner transition elements. And today in our session, Sir is going to explain you the periodic trends. So, dear children,
I want
to mention you an important thing. Periodic trends are very important, right? Periodic trends are very important for your further classes also, because in your first year you are having 1A group elements, 2A group elements, 3A group, 4A group. And in your second year, you are having the P block family and also the transition elements. In all these groups, you had to go through the periodic trends. See what happens to the periodic properties down the group across the period. So that's why this is a very important topic. So please watch the lesson very carefully and write down the notes. I think everyone is ready with a pen and book. So let's welcome Dr. Sampath Kumar Garu. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
So a happy welcome to you, sir. So yesterday's session was very wonderful. So you have explained very clearly about the classification of elements. And today, I think this session will be more interesting than the previous one.
Yes, thank madam. Yes. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, children. Today we are going to deal with the chapter classification of elements and periodicity and properties, intermediate first year chemistry, chapter 2, session 3. This is Dr. B. Sampath Kumar, PGT Chemistry, TSMS Shankarapatnam, Karimnagar district. My subject coordinator is Srimati Polu Sridevi ma'am, Principal, TSMS Kudur, Vikarabad district. Children, these are the topics we have discussed in the last session. Electronic configuration of elements and the periodic table. Electronic configuration and types of elements, S, P, D and F blocks. Classification into types, metals, non-metals and metalloids. So this is my today's session overview, children. Periodic trends in properties of elements, atomic radius, ionization enthalpy, electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity, valency or oxidation states, anomalous properties of second period elements, periodic trends and chemical reactivity. So children, let us see one by one. Periodic trends, let us see children here in this periodic table. Let us see the reactivity of elements. We know very well the S block elements, P block elements, D block elements and F block elements. So these elements are having different reactivity. So how the reactivity, let us see in the periodic table. See children, if we go along with the periods, that is from left to right, the reactivity of starting elements is more reactive. Children, I have written with the pink color here, more reactive. The S block elements are more reactive, which are left side to the periodic table. And you come along with the period like that. The next is D block elements. These are modulatively reactive, means the reactivity compared to S block decreases for D block elements. And while going towards the P block elements, the reactivity again increases. See here, more reactivity. So when we go along with the period from left to right, the reactivity of the elements here starting is more reactive and reactivity decreases and again reactivity increases. Means gradually the reactivity of the elements along with periods decreases and again increases. In the same way, if we observe the reactivity of elements in the groups, here this is the vertical columns we have to see in groups. In groups top to bottom, if we see the left side of the periodic table, this top elements are less reactive and the bottom elements are more reactive. Means in a group from top to bottom towards the left side of the periodic table, the reactivity of the elements increases. Top to bottom, the reactivity of the elements increases. Here the less reactive elements, here more reactive elements. When we observe the reactivity of P block elements in the groups, here the top elements are having more reactive compared to the bottom elements. Means in S block from top to bottom the reactivity increases. In P block from top to bottom the reactivity decreases. So why this happens, children? Means in period or group the reactivity is not same for all elements. So why the reactivity varies? Let us see by observing the periodic properties. So these are the periodic properties. Children, here is ionization energy, electron affinity, atomic radius, non-metallic character, metallic character. So these are the periodic properties. Along with this electronegativity also there. So these are the periodic properties. How the properties varies in groups and in periods we have to observe. Then only we come to know the reactivity of elements. Why the reactivity of elements is decreasing and again increasing in the periods, and in groups for S block elements top to bottom increases and P block elements top to bottom decreases. The first one, children, atomic radius. So what is atomic radius, children? See, atomic radius is the distance between the center of the nucleus and the electron cloud of the outermost energy level. What is atomic radius? The distance between the center of nucleus. See, children, this is the center. This is the center of the nucleus and a center of the atom, and the electron cloud. Here, this is the electron cloud totally, and this is the outermost electron cloud. Here, this I have labeled here electron, and the distance between this center of nucleus and this outer electron is called its atomic radius. Actually, atomic radius is very small, children. That is approximately 1.2 into 10 power minus 10 meters. It is very, very, very small. Electron cloud surrounding the atom does not have a sharp boundary. See, children, already you are observing here. This is the atom. This is the nucleus. In this nucleus, having positive charged species, protons. and around this nucleus, the negative charged electrons are there, and this is the electron cloud. Here the electron cloud surrounding the atom does not have a sharp boundary. You are observing here. So practically it is not convenient to isolate an individual atom and determine its radius. So children, practically it is not convenient to isolate an individual atom and determine its radius. That's why here the following radii are experimentally significant. These are the experimentally significant radii. Already we have known: covalent radius, metallic radius, ionic radius, and van der Waals radius. So let us see, children, one by one. That is the covalent radius. Wait, children. Covalent radius. Covalent radius is half of the internuclear separation between the nuclei of two single bonded atoms of the same species, that is homonuclear. See, children, here this is actually covalent molecule formed by two atoms, that is the two hydrogen atoms, homo species. These are here the distance between the two nucleus is d. To get the covalent radius, here the half of the internuclear distance. So this is therefore R is equal to d by 2. Then we can get the covalent radius R. So next, metallic radius. The metallic radius is half of the total distance between the nuclei of two adjacent atoms in a metallic cluster. See, children, actually covalent radius we will see in the covalent bonded atoms, molecules. Here metallic radius we will see in the metallic cluster. Next, children, ionic radius. The ionic radius is here the distance between the nucleus and the electron in the outermost shell of an atom, of an ion. Ionic radius is determined in a crystal lattice. So this is same like atomic radius, children. The distance between the center of the nucleus and outermost shell of an ion. Next, van der Waals radius. So let us see the van der Waals radius. It is defined as 1/2 the distance between the nuclei of two identical non-bonded isolated atoms. See, children, actually van der Waals attractions or van der Waals bond exists between the atoms, inert gas atoms. See here, helium and helium. These are the two atoms. The van der Waals attractions are there in this. So here it is defined as 1/2 the distance between the nuclei of two identical non-bonded. These are non-bonded atoms. So in the case of ionic or covalent or metallic, they are bonded. Metallic bond, in covalent bond, in ionic bond we have seen. But in the case of van der Waals, these are non-bonded isolated atoms. Just they come closer to each other, and then only we have to see the distance between the two nuclei. That distance is d. Here we can get the van der Waals radius R is equal to d by 2. Actually, these van der Waals attractions exist in the 18th group elements, children. That is the inert gas elements. Here ionic bond exists between the S block and P block, that is especially first and second group and the sixth and seventh group elements. Next, covalent bond exists between the generally seventh group elements. Hydrogen, hydrogen, fluorine, fluorine means F2, Cl2, Br2, so like that. Homo diatomic atoms. And metallic bond exists in the S block, P block, S block, and some of the elements of P block and D block and F block elements. Next, children, atomic radius versus ionic radius. This is very important, children. So we have to concentrate more here because so many students do wrong here. Comparison of the radius of ions and atom. Here let us see. The ionic radius of a positive ion is smaller than the atomic radius of its parent element. See, children, actually this is the atom, neutral atom, and its ion is this one. This is the sodium atom, and this is the sodium ion. Means after losing losing the electrons, we can get the sodium ion. Yet the radius of this sodium ion is smaller than the radius of the parent element. We are observing here. So what is the radius here? Sodium ion 116 picometers. For sodium, it is 154 pm. So the ionic radius of a positive ion is smaller than the atomic radius of its parent element. So always you try to remember, children, the cation radius is always less than the its neutral atom. Right. In the same way, here the ionic radius of a negative ion is larger than the atomic radius of its parent element. See, children, here we are observed the positive ion and the neutral atom, and here we are observing the neutral atom and negative ion. The ionic radius of a negative ion is larger than the atomic radius of its parent element. See here, chlorine atom atomic radius is 99 pm, and its ion Cl-1 ion, that is the anion atomic radius is 167 picometers. Therefore, here the ionic radius of a negative ion is larger than the atomic radius of the parent element. So see children, here this is the neutral atom. Here after gaining the electrons, that is when we add the electrons to the neutral atom, here plus electrons, we can get the negative ion. We can get the negative ion or anion. This is very important. So when we add the electrons to the neutral atom, we can get the negative ion or anion. And when we remove the electrons, or when an atom is losing electrons, then we can get the positive ion or cation. So here just observe the radius of this cation and this neutral atom and this anion. I have already given in size. Here cation is with smaller size compared to the neutral atom, and this is also small when compared to the its a negative ion or anion. So this is the order of radius. Here see the positive ion is less in size compared to the neutral atom, which is less in size compared to the negative ion. This is very important, children. In so many times some questions are asked in the entrance examinations. You try to understand this one. So always the cation size is less compared to its neutral atom, and the neutral atom size is always less compared to its negative ion size. Next, children, here isoelectronic species. What are isoelectronic species? Here iso means same, electrons means same number of electrons. So here same number of electron species are called isoelectronic species. Let us see. Atoms and ions which contain the same number of electrons are called isoelectronic species. What are isoelectronic species? Atoms and ions which contain the same number of electrons are called isoelectronic species. For example, let us see. Here, oxygen. Oxygen, after getting 2 electrons, this is the oxide ion, O minus 2. And here, fluorine atom, after getting 1 electron, this is a fluoride ion, F minus 1. And this is the neon. This is the sodium ion, after losing 1 electron. So this is became like Na plus 1. And this is the magnesium ion, after losing 2 electrons. So Mg plus 2. So these particles have the same number of electrons, 10 electrons each. See, children, actually the atomic number of oxygen is 8 only. So after gaining these 2 electrons, 8 plus 2, 10 electrons. And here atomic number of fluorine is 9. So after gaining this 1 electron, 1 plus 9, totally 10 electrons. So like that, here neon, 10 electrons. So this atom, so not lose any electrons or not gain any electrons. And here sodium, actually atomic number is 11, but means 11 electrons are there in this sodium. But after losing 1 electron, after losing 1 electron, this is with 10 electrons only. And here magnesium atomic number is 12. So after losing 2 electrons, this is having 10 electrons only. Right. So their radii would be different because of their nuclear charges. So actually all these particles are having the same number of electrons, children, but their radii may not be same. It may be different because of their nuclear charges. How? Let us see. These are the isoelectronic species. These are all particles are having same number of electrons. So actually, here what is the structure of atom? What we can assume? Here in center nucleus is there. In that protons are there, and around that nucleus electrons are there. But here in this particles, in all these particles, only 10 number of electrons are there. So we can assume that so the atomic radius or the radius of all these particles is same. But here their radii would be different because of their nuclear charges. Now let us see why the radius is different for these particles. Here the size, magnesium ion is very, very less in size compared to the sodium ion, and which is less compared to the neutral atom neon, which is also less in size compared to the fluoride ion, which is also less size compared to the oxide ion. So why this size is here actually size left to right increasing or from right to left decreasing. So already we have studied negative here positive ion size is less compared to the neutral one, and the neutral atom's size is less compared to the negative means or anions. So same trend we have followed here. Here these are the positive species having less size compared to the neutral one, which is also having less size compared to the negative species. So actually here why this is, because let us see here each species is having 10 electrons, but each species is not having the same number of protons. Let us see. Here magnesium is actually atomic number 12. So 12 protons are there in this nucleus. Here 12 protons, for sodium 11 protons, for neon 10 protons, for fluorine 9 protons, for oxygen 8 protons present in their nucleus respectively. So see the attraction between these 12 protons and 10 electrons. And see the attraction between these 8 protons and 10 electrons. Where the attraction is more, where the attraction is less. So when here the more positive charges are there the attraction is more. Here these 12 positive species attract the 10 electrons more strongly. That's why here the atomic radius of magnesium ion is very less compared to the sodium and compared to the neon and so on and so forth. So here the ionic radius of this oxide is more compared to these. Why? Because there is less attraction between these 8 protons and 10 electrons. Next, let us see the children. Periodicity of atomic radius means this atomic radius, how it varies in group and in period. Right, atomic radius in group. In a group from top to bottom, atomic radius gradually increases. What happens, children? Atomic radius in group? Atomic radius gradually increases. Why? See the reason here. On moving down in a group, the number of shells increases. Consequently, the distance between the nucleus and the outermost electron increases. So already we have seen, children, in the last session, in a periodic table, first period elements are having only one shell. Second period are having 2 shells. Third period elements are having 3 shells. So like that, from top to bottom, in a group, if we observe, the number of shells increases. So therefore, the atomic radius, what is atomic radius? The distance between the center of the nucleus and the outer electrons. Here the number of shells, when the number of shells increases, automatically the atomic radius increases. That's why on moving down in a group, the number of shells increases and consequently the distance between the nucleus and the outermost electrons increases. See, children, here the atomic radius in a period, what happens? The atomic radius in a period gradually decreases from left to right. So why the atomic radius decreases? Let us see. This is the reason. In a period, as the atomic number increases, the number of protons increases across the period. But the extra electrons are only added to the same quantum shell. See, children, here I will explain. In a period, as the atomic number increases, let us see, children, these are the same period elements. Here is lithium, and after lithium we can get lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. So here lithium atomic number 3 and neon atomic number 10. Which period elements these are? Actually, these are the second period elements, children. Simply by seeing the electron configuration, we can tell here this lithium atom is having 2 shells. n is equal to 1 and n is equal to 2. That's why this belongs to the second period element. And this is also having two shells. That's why this is also second period element. Now, here in a period, as the atomic number increases, see here, this is the second period elements I am comparing. Here, from left to right, the atomic number increases. Here only atomic number 3, here atomic number 10, that is the neon. The number of protons increases across the period. See children, here atomic number 3, that's why here 3 protons. But here atomic number 10, that's why here 10 protons present in the nucleus of neon atom. But the extra electrons are only added to the same quantum shell. See children, at the starting of the period, that is in lithium, here in valence shell, 1 electron is there. The electronic configuration is 2 and 1. Because atomic number is 3. So 3 protons and 3 electrons are there. Here the electronic configuration is 2 and 1. In first orbit 2 electrons, second orbit 1 electron. Here the atomic number is 10, means 2, 8. Its electronic configuration is 2 and 8. Here actually this second period, lithium is having only 1 electron, but neon is having 8 electrons. See children, actually the number of shells are not increased from lithium to neon, but the number of electrons increased, or the number of protons increased in the nucleus. Here without increasing the shell number, the protons number increased, and the electrons number also increased. Here within the radius, that is, this is having the only 2 shells or 2 orbits, and here neon also having 2 orbits, but neon having 10 protons in the nucleus and here 8 electrons in the outer orbit, but here lithium 3 protons and only 1 electron. Now see the attraction between this positive species and the negative species. The attraction between these 3 protons and 1 electron is less compared to the attractions of 8 protons and 10 protons and 8 electrons. So see children, here only 3 protons are there in lithium, but here 10 protons. How many protons extra there? 7 protons. So this 7 protons charge is nothing but the effective nuclear charge. What we call effective nuclear charge. So due to this effective nuclear charge on the valence electrons, here the electron cloud slightly decreases or contracts. So that's why the atomic radius decreases. See children, once again I will read out this one. In a period, as the atomic number increases, the number of protons increases across the period, right? Number of protons increased, but the extra electrons are only added to the same quantum shell. Here the extra electrons added to the same quantum shell, that is n is equal to 2 only. Therefore, the effective nuclear charge towards the outermost electrons increases. The effective nuclear charge means here 7 protons extra. So this 7 protons attraction is called effective nuclear charge. This is towards the outermost electron increases and drawing the outermost electrons closer to the nucleus. So as a result, the electron cloud contracts and the atomic radius decreases. Next children. This is the atomic radius in group and period. See, let us see. In a group from top to bottom, the atomic radius increases as we have discussed in the previous slide. And in the period from left to right, atomic radius decreases. Here the atomic radius increases. What is the reason? The number of shells increases. Here the atomic radius decreases means, what is the reason? Because of the effective nuclear charge on the valence electrons. Next children, the lanthanide contraction. So here, lanthanide, what is the lanthanide contraction? Means the abnormal decrease in the size of lanthanides, that is third B group, and their trivalent ions is called as lanthanide contraction. Children, we know very well, lanthanides belongs to third B group. So the lanthanides, actually third B group, it is a group, it is not a period, it is a group. In a group, just now we have seen the atomic radius increases. In a group, from top to bottom, atomic radius increases. But in the third group, in the third B group, here lanthanides are there, their radius from top to bottom not increases. So here, but instead of increasing the atomic radius here decreases. So that is called a lanthanide contraction. Here, see children, the abnormal decrease in the size of lanthanides and their trivalent ions is called as lanthanide contraction. What is the reason? What is the reason for decreasing the size of lanthanides in the third B group? So let us see. This is because of poor shielding effect of f orbitals. What children? Why the lanthanide contraction is taking place? Because of poor shielding effect of f orbitals. Why these are having poor shielding effect? That is due to large size and less dense of f orbitals. Actually children, here we have 4 orbitals, s orbital, p orbital, d orbital and f orbital. S orbital is very near to the nucleus. It is with less size and more dense compared to the p, and this is also less size and more dense compared to d, and which is also more dense and less size compared to f. That is, f is having large size and less dense. That's why the nuclear attraction over valency electrons is greater, because here the differentiating electron which is entering into the f orbital is not shielding the nucleus attraction over valency electron. That's why here simultaneously the number of protons in the nucleus of lanthanides increases and the effective nuclear charge is more on valency electrons. So that decreases the size of lanthanides. That's why, so this is called as lanthanide contraction. What are the consequences? Here, the consequences of lanthanide contraction is hardness, melting and boiling points increases from cerium to lutetium. So children, after lanthanum from 58 to 71, cerium to lutetium, the hardness, melting and boiling points increases. This is due to only lanthanide contraction. It is difficult to separate lanthanides even by techniques like chromatography. See children, here it is difficult to separate lanthanides. Means when the mixture of lanthanides, that is the lanthanide elements or mixture is there, then it is difficult to separate. Like the techniques chromatography. Actually, chromatography is one of the techniques to separate the mixture. Already we have seen children in 9th class, I think, the separation techniques. So we have so many separation techniques of a mixture. So those are distillation, evaporation, crystallization, sublimation, decanation, filtration, sieving, hand picking, magnetic separation, so etc. So many techniques are there. If those techniques are not possible to separate the mixture, then we go for the chromatography. This is the ultimate technique. Actually, with this chromatography, each and every mixture we can separate. But here, it is difficult to separate the lanthanides, even by techniques like chromatography. So why this is? Because of lanthanides contraction only. The next consequence is inert pair effect. Let us see here what is inert pair effect in the future slides. This is the inert pair effect, children. Here, what is the definition of inert pair effect? See, the non-participation of NS electrons in a chemical bonding is called inert pair effect. What is inert pair effect? The non-participation of NS electrons in a chemical bonding is called inert pair effect. So, see children, here what is the reason? Because of lanthanide contraction only. Here, if we see this example, for example, here thallium. Thallium is actually third A group. What are the third A group elements? Boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. And this thallium belongs to third A. That's why this element can easily lose 3 electrons. The general electronic configuration is Ns2Np1. Means here 3 valence electrons are there. But this thallium won't lose these 3 electrons, valence electrons. Why? Here the non-participation of Ns electrons takes place. Means these Ns electrons do not participate in the chemical bond. This is due to the actually lanthanide contraction, the size decreases. That's why this non-participation of this Ns electrons takes place. Means these electrons are more attracted towards the nucleus. So that's why this element do not lose this Ns electrons easily. So that's why here thallium plus 3 is less stable, but thallium plus 1 is more stable. So it loses only 1 electron. These Ns electrons are not participate in the chemical bond, which we call inert pair effect. Here Ns electrons are 2 electrons. This is a pair. This pair is not participating in the chemical reaction. That is called inert. So that is why it is called as inert pair effect. What are the consequences of this inert pair effect? Here, the oxidation state is 2 units less than the group oxidation state. See, actually, children, here the group number is 3. Therefore, the oxidation state also should be 3, actually, plus 3. But here, due to this inert pair effect, these Ns electrons are not participating. So that's why here 2 units less than the group oxidation number. The next one is down the group, the stability of lower oxidation state increases. See here, actually thallium plus, instead of plus 3 here plus 1 increases. Means if we see this third A group, the remaining group element means third A, boron, aluminium, gallium, indium. If we see the oxidation states of these elements, those are with plus 3 are stable, but coming to the thallium, here plus 1 is more stable. This is because of lanthanides contraction. So children, let us see the here so far we have discussed the atomic radius. So here what is atomic radius, how it varies in group and period, and what is ionic radius, what is covalent radius and metallic radius, van der Waals radius, what is inert pair effect, what is the lanthanide contraction. Those are all related to atomic radius. Now let's see the next periodic property, ionization enthalpy. So let us see the periodic property ionization enthalpy. So children, So actually here we have more syllabus here. Actually there is no time. So let us see the conclusion. So far what we have learned. So what we have learned, the periodic trends in properties of elements and atomic radius. So these two topics we have learned in this session, and the remaining topics let us continue in the next session, children. And this is the some exercise for you. Okay, children. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sampath sir. Thank you for a very clear explanation regarding the periodic trends. So today we have discussed about
Thank you,
atomic
madam.
radius, isn't it, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes,
So
madam. Thank
in
you.
our next session, we will explain ionization enthalpy, then electropositivity, electronegativity, then oxidation states, then how does all these properties vary in a group and in a period, isn't it, sir?
Yes, madam.
So, dear children, sir has very clearly explained you what is the meaning of periodicity. See how the seasons repeat, like summer season, rainy season, winter season, autumn season. Like that, the periodicity. So it recurs after regular intervals. So the properties of elements will recur. Means the properties of elements means water. Those elements which have similar properties will be repeated at regular intervals of time and they will fall in groups, right? Isn't it? See, that's what the periodicity in properties. And we have learned about atomic radius. So in our next sessions, we are going to learn about ionization enthalpy, then electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity, and which is the most electronegative element in the periodic table, and which is the element which is having highest electron affinity, right? And we will learn about the oxidation states and all in our next session. So thank you, Sampath sir, for a very clear explanation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
So we'll meet again in our next session, sir.
Okay, madam. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Shall I quit, madam?
Yes, sir.